Hello, good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the final round, if you can believe that, of the AFVRC. We are here at Donington, and aptly named Castle Donington, as a huge thanks to our commercial partners at BFBS, Splunk and racecarradios.co.uk. The final rounds of the BFBS AFVRC Championship. All the way down here, David Christie here with you yet again for the season finale. And who else can we have in the commentary box than none other than John Knighton. John, I can't believe we're finally here at the end of the season, but my, oh my, have we left things on a complete cliffhanger.
We certainly have. The only reason why we know that actually it's the end of the season is actually light outside while we're doing the commentary.
I just noticed that, yeah.
We started off in pitch darkness, I think, at this time, back in February on the 28th at Silverstone. And here we are at Donington's National Circuit for this final two races of the season. And as you say, what a championship it has been so far. We've had some brilliant racing in these Toyota GR86 cars, or I think in a certain person's case, it's now a GR87. He's obviously had the upgrades. But we have absolutely loved it this year. And congratulations to all the drivers. I mean, I think that one of the things that will stand out for me is how good quality the racing has been, how fair it has been as well. There's been no shenanigans, dirty tricks on the track. I know there's been plenty of protests going on, accidents and that sort of thing, but we really have enjoyed some very, very clean racing, David, over the last 10 weeks.
We certainly have, but there's been plenty of shenanigans up here in the commentary box, I think, over the past 10 weeks, John, and I've loved every minute, just as you've said there. Here is what is at stake tonight, though. The Drivers' Championship. Ryan Martin ahead of Stu McFadden, Chris Pawley in third position. Now, any one of those three are in mathematical contention tonight. That will all change after race one, but the drop chip points have had a huge implication on these standings. Will Fox in the fourth position there, Tom Stevens in fifth, Adam Barn in sixth, Chris Boland in seventh, Dan Beres, Craig Dunn and Ollie Waynes all rounding out the top 10. Now, the other thing, John, before we move on to the Teams Championship, just briefly on this Drivers' Championship, how close it is between fourth and seventh position as well. We're obviously focused on the winners, but there's all these little fights to play for.
Yeah, and we've seen that throughout the course of the racing this year. I mean, last week, the battles going on sort of further down the order were as intense as those for the top two or three places. But I don't think there's any doubt about who the team champion winners are this year. David, Royal Air Force, well out in front, aren't they? They're sort of a country mile, in fact, a country 100 miles ahead of the Royal Navy and the British Army. That's not surprising. They have the majority of the drivers here. But to everyone who's competed this year, it's brilliant. And we hope, obviously, there'll be more Navy and Army drivers will take the mantle and take the Royal Air Force on, because that's what needs to happen to make this a really fair and equal team championship.
I was just about to say, John, that's exactly what happens when you outnumber your rival teams by 5-1. I think that's about the ratio that the RAF have got. But like you said, it's up to the Royal Navy and the British Army to kind of step up to that challenge, as we know they're more than capable of.
They have to be in it to win it, as they say. And maybe this will be the incentive they need to see the Air Force ahead. Because you know what in-services rivalry is like, David. You'll have guessed that already, certainly over the last 10 weeks, if not before. That doesn't matter what they're doing. They could be doing tiddlywinks, they could be doing rugby, they could be doing football, cricket. But even with this, the intensity of the rivalry is fantastic. So, that never ceases to amaze me. But at the end of it, they're all having a beer together or a chat, and they're all helping each other as well, which is great to see.
Yeah, that's the spirit, isn't it? Knock 7 bells out of each other and then go for a pint at the end.
Yes, in fact, I couldn't put it better myself. I think watching the Army Boxing Championships last week and the inter-services, where they literally do that, and they give each other a big hug at the end, But we're obviously all set now for qualifying, and I think qualifying is going to be very, very intensive, almost as intense as the racing tonight, because as you say, with it being, the championship being as it is, there's everything to play for. Of course, Ryan Martin didn't compete last week, and that really has opened the door for several of the other drivers, for Stu McFadden and Chris Pawley in particular, to stake their claim tonight for this title.
And that's a great point because, Stu McFadden's 69 points behind your championship leader. And let's not forget that he actually missed the first round of the season. He joined in late to the championship. And what an impact he has absolutely had since he joined in. We're on qualifying now and we'll be able to see this all in full. But John, let's take a minute to talk about the track then here at Donington, the Grand Prix circuit. 2.4 sorry, it's the national circuit, of course. Yeah, I was about to say, sorry. At 1.95 miles. That chicane, I think, is going to be an absolute flashpoint potentially for a lot of these drivers.
Yeah, it is, and it's. I don't think it'll catch them out. I think they're fairly used to it by now. But in the intensity of competition, and particularly in the early stages of the race, as we've seen quite often in this racing championship this year, such as the push for places early on, that you get quite a few accidents, and that could be where we see them in the first lap or so here tonight at Donington.
Yeah, certainly is. So
you're hoping for that, aren't you? You're hoping for lots of thrills and spills.
Well, maybe no, but yeah, look, we want an entertaining race. The problem is, right, we've got a lot riding on tonight's two races. What I want is this to be settled on the track. What I don't want is for any silly mistakes or any other sort of incidents to potentially decide what actually happens tonight. Although, to be honest, if they happen, then yeah, it's like in Rocky, if they live, they live. It's fine. But on that note, right, do you think, John, that they're maybe going to be treating tonight with sort of kid gloves, so to speak, in terms of wanting to protect their position and potentially protect their chance at the championship?
I think we'll see that in the second race if things pan out the way the drivers who are up there in these top positions want them to be, and even further down. But it's very difficult to protect a position when you're being challenged so hard. The great thing about this is that all the cars are exactly the same. They're all these Toyota GR86s, Cup cars, and because of that, the quality of the racing, it means that everyone's reasonably close together, and so it's very difficult to protect a position once you're in it. I mean, we've seen so many times over the last couple of weeks that the driver in the lead is having to defend for his life, to make sure that those behind don't sneak ahead. But then the second, third, and fourth places, they're all challenging as well. So it just makes it really, really exciting.
It sure does. We just have to very quickly give a huge thank you to Dan Hardwick, one of the admins behind the scene and one of the racers taking part in the championship as well, for the lovely thanks that he was giving us in our team chat earlier on this afternoon. Very, very much appreciated. And I know it's echoed by yourself, John, but it's just been a blast this season. We've been involved now for a couple of seasons, and honestly, it just feels like the calibre of the racing gets better and better with each year.
Oh, it does, and with these cars as well, I think we've seen a real step up in quality overall. But yeah, big thanks to Dan, because if you look at Dan, in competition, I think he spends so much time organising and making these things work that it doesn't give him a huge amount of time for practice. So you're not going to see necessarily tonight Dan Hardwick right up there amongst the leading drivers. But the work that he puts in behind the scenes, as with others, is quite fantastic and really makes this championship tick along.
Certainly does. I'm just looking at the times just now coming in here, and I've got to be honest, with Chris Pawley down there in 8th position, he is the man that needs to do the most mathematically to stay in contention. It's safe to say that if Pawley doesn't win race 1, his championship contention is... I'm pretty sure that's out of the window, although I will confirm it, because we did have it mentioned in what was the different permutations that we're going to come out of tonight. And the thing with it is, like, you almost have to have a degree in algebra and a slide rule here, John, just to kind of keep up, because any three of them can win, but if Stuart McFadden wins both races and the fastest lap, Ryan needs to score 133 points from both the races, so that's higher than 8th place. So Stuart can win both the races and still not win the championship. That is a crazy position to be in.
It is indeed, but that's what happens, when you have this sort of, mathematical geniuses working out who the winners are. So I'm going to stay well clear of all that, because my maths is so hopeless. So I shall just let you guys work that one out. I'll just enjoy watching the racing, I think.
I'm avoiding that one, John. Yeah, that's definitely not on my watch.
Okay, we're in it together on that one then. We'll sign a pact on that one, David, tonight. But Stu McFadden making a good start, and Will Fuchs as well, who had a great week last week. I mean, mentioned to Will, who won both races last week. And if his run of form had started a wee bit earlier, we might have been seeing him right at the top of the charts as well. But he's really seems to have gripped it the last couple of weeks. With 2 first places last week. Stu McFadden got a second and a third last week, which has pushed him right up there. Adam Barron doing well last year. Chris Slater last week as well, having his best finish of the season so far. And Michael Clough, a top 5 position for him as well in the second race. So all of these drivers just really coming into play now and getting to grips. And they could all have a say in tonight because, as you say, the likes of Chris Pauly, although he's working his way up the field in terms of qualification at the moment, he's only 0.7 behind Stu McFadden now in terms of time. So it's bunching up and getting very, very close. We've only got about 4 minutes left to qualify.
Yeah, the final qualifying session of the season. That feels a weird one to say already so soon, but we are, as you said, into May, so it does kind of make sense here. We're watching Will Fuchs up into P2. Now, he's one of our drivers in that top secret GR87 prototype, and that's a little in-joke where the documentation that goes out with the point standings on it, there's a typo in it that puts him in, rather than a GR86, he's in a GR87. Of course, it doesn't actually exist, but it's still amusing. It's the little things, John, that keep us giggling, isn't it?
Well, I think he's adjusted his tail, his tail fin slightly differently.
Maybe that explains second place.
Could be. Well, maybe he was doing that last week. He was in a GR87 last week and never told anybody. Because he had a fantastic week last week. So let's just see. Look out for Will. He could be the man to watch tonight. And if he were to get 4 straight wins, that would be an amazing end to the season for him, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it really would. A heck of a story for that. And another man that we wax lyrical about almost every season is Cloughie. Good old Michael Clough up there in 4th position. Now, it's safe to say he's not had the best start to the season, but my goodness me, is he bouncing back, getting himself up there into 4th position. And another driver who has had a really, really good turn of form lately, Linda Noble up there in 13th position there, John.
Yeah, Linda doing so well too with the insignia on her car it stands out a mile, doesn't it? With Mission Motorsport, and they do so much to help our injured and disabled servicemen and women and those retiring find work within the motorsport industry. And there they are. There's Linda's car there, proudly displaying the Mission Motorsport logos. So great to have you with us again, Linda. And I wish we could see a few more female drivers because I think they would love this. They really would. So Linda, get on the phone at the end of this and start phoning your mates up and getting them taking part, because we want to see some more female drivers competing in this event next season. It would be absolutely brilliant to have some more of them as well. And another driver that maybe we haven't mentioned too much this year as well, and that is Darren, isn't it? Where are we? I'm just looking for him on the list at the moment. Not Darren Berris. I'm thinking about last year's winner, last year's championship winner.
John, I think that says it all, doesn't it? The fact that we're struggling to remember his name.
Well, he's not from the army. I mean, he's. I'm just trying to find him. Where is he? He seems to have disappeared off the leaderboard at the moment. But I'm sure we'll find him. And that is a shame because it's clear this has been dominated by RAF drivers. Not seen so much of the Army this year. Want to see more of the Army next season and the Royal Navy too, because we will be seeing a lot of them. Obviously, in when we get down to the business on the track for real, when the Armed Forces Challenge really gets underway, it's a fantastic group of people who take part in that. It's Dan Hardwick is there. He's 23rd at the moment, and I'd like to see Dan up there.
I was just going to put you out your misery there, John, and just say that it was, of course, Craig Dunn.
Of course it was Craig.
Last season's champion. The only reason I'm saying that is because I forgot as well. His name completely slipped my tongue, and I was looking at the driver standings.
So let me bear the brunt.
I did. I just stayed very quiet while I went and sneakily had a little look there. But look, that does bring on a very serious point, right? Craig was absolutely almost untouchable last season and has had a horrible season this year, and it just shows you how it can go from one way to the other. But checkered flag has flown. It looks like we're getting our final laps in. Stu McFadden just going to be coming across the line. He looks to try and secure that pole position, 1:16.285. Not going to get a lap in there. That is going to be it then, and that potentially could be the most important qualifying session this season here, John.
It could indeed. And Ryan Martin in third place, separated with Will Fuchs in second. So, and Michael Clough in third. Chris Pawley has worked his way up to fifth. So it's not been such a disastrous qualifying for Chris as it might have been, because he was obviously stuck down the lane there, and a little bit behind to start with. So yeah, fascinating stuff. And this start is going to be very, very interesting tonight.
I was watching. I know some acrobatics showing off in pit lane there.
Donuts?
Somebody is going to get absolutely roared at from race control. But no, that's a great drive there from Chris Pawley to get that car up into P5, as you said. 8th place wasn't looking so good, but P5, that's now directly behind Ryan Martin, who is directly behind Stu McFadden. So anything happening into turn 1, and he could be in the pound seats tonight, so we're not going to put anything out of contention just yet. We're still waiting on John Finch to come across the line and finish his lap. He has done qualifying though, and that is it. So we're going to move on to get the grid very, very shortly. Here we go then. Stu McFadden leads off our final round of the season. Race 1 out of 2 here ahead of Will Fuchs. It's then Ryan Martin with Michael Clough on row 2. Row 3 is Chris Pawley and Chris Boland. Tom Stevens is alongside Aaron Bam, 7th and 8th place. 9th is Stu Etic. 10th is Chris Slater. 11th for Peter Plasto alongside Darren Ferris. 13th is good old Linda Noble in the row 7. Adam Waters alongside her. Luke Arpino in 15th. John Finch in 16th. Jack Ajewski is in P17. Colin Scott in P18, Ryan Abbott's in 19th, and Ben Weston rounds out row 10. 21st for Steve Ward, 22nd for Barry Abbott, Dan Hardwick and Glenn Griffin 23rd and 24th, and James King in 25th position. At the back of the grid, we get ready for our penultimate rounds here of the Armed Forces Virtual Race Challenge here from Donington. David Christie and John Knighton here in the commentary box. The engineers rise. We are just seconds away from our first race of the evening. The tension is high. Championship protagonist Stu McFadden in first position, Ryan Martin in third, Chris Pawley in 5th position. The lights start to go on here at Donington for the penultimate time this season. Away they go, and it's a good start for McFadden, a great start for Pawley. He's already cutting the way through, and Pawley is up to 3rd place already. He's going to have the inside line. Will Fuchs into 2nd place. That is a lightning start as they go into Redgate for the first time here, and a wonderful start. Ryan Martin caught napping there, John, and that is huge.
It is. He's down to 5th at the moment. He's got a lot of work to do to get himself back. But what a start from Stu McFadden. Will Fuchs again, great start from him. And Chris Pawley, what a brilliant opening for him. But this opening lap is all to play for. And already McFadden is producing really producing a bit of a gap between him and chased by Will Fuchs. Those two have already got a little bit of a gap separating them and Chris Pawley in 3rd place, but long way to go yet.
Certainly is. 15 minutes to go in this race. Great to see everybody getting around. There's contact, and that is chaos at McLean's there. 3 cars round, and that was Griffin. Weston was caught up in that. So was Ajewski, I believe, as well, as we're coming down the back stretch here. This is coming down into the chicane for the first time of asking on the brakes at Starkey Straight there through the chicane, and everybody through. And without that 3-car pile up there into McLean's, that was actually a fairly tidy first lap there, John.
It was. You can see there's already a bit of a snake developing with these top drivers leading the way, and a bit of a gap probably from Adam Barron onwards, with Chris Slater in 9th place. Darren Berris in 10th, Adam Waters 11th, and Stu Eatock in 12th. So a bit of a gap developing now, and sort of little battles within battles, as we suggested might happen at the beginning of the race. But Stu McFadden has that lead. He's just nearly 2 seconds, 0.2 seconds clear of Will Fuchs, so it's very, very tight there. Those two have already built up a little bit of a lead, as you can see, and that'll be interesting to see whether Chris Pawley can make it up, because he's sort of leading the next three behind there, with Martin and Clough behind him. So already little battles just developing elsewhere on the course. So let's see what happened in this pilot. This was Jack Izewski. Oh, and there he was, and
he tried to hold on to it, did he?
And then it really caused a bit of chaos there, a bit of dodgems there, and he actually recovered quite well. But I think that everyone else around him just panicked a bit.
Yeah, he recovered quite well, not so much on the car, I'm afraid. That thing looking decidedly second-hand. Listen, we caught a glimpse of that in the background just a couple of seconds ago, but Ryan Martin centred it round the outside of McLean's, outside of Michael Clough. Great move there, and that was for fourth position. So now Martin trying to push his way through. He's going to be trying to get his way past championship contender Chris Pawley as well. We're watching the battle for 14th, 15th and 16th just now. Ryan Abbott's with Luke Arpino and John Finch down there as well. That's a move up into the old railway corner. Can't quite make it happen, but still onto the tail end of that there. Great to see, but down at that old hairpin, very, very difficult as Ryan Martin gets the position from Chris Pawley. Pawley losing out all of that time there, and coming into third position then goes Ryan Martin. So Pawley now down into fifth, and that is, I'm afraid to say, almost certainly the championship contention going down the drain for Chris Pawley. It was a thin chance anyway, but it just needed to be a little bit more lucky than this.
Well, just don't forget, of course, we have the spin of the dice to decide the second race. I mean, who knows? He could end up in pole position for the first race, depending on where he finishes. But yeah, you're right. It's beginning to take things away from Chris a little bit. And he's slipped down to 8th place now in the running order. So obviously an accident, something has happened there. Michael Clough into 4th place now. Adam Barron in 5th. But Ryan Martin is making that challenge. He's just over a second behind Will Fuchs in 2nd place. And Stu McFadden has that narrowest of leads at the top. So it's very, very exciting.
Just over 10 minutes left to go in our penultimate race of the season here. You're on board with Chris Boland's on the run up towards McLean's corner. This is the left-hander before the right. Then it's on to the brakes, taking a little bit of the curve here as they turn the right-hander at McLean's. Then on the run up towards Coppice. And going to get the inside line here. But as we said, Stu McFadden in the lead of the race. Will Fox looking very, very handy indeed, just a tenth of a second behind Stu McFadden. In fact, they're going to be side by side, almost coming into the chicane. I wonder if Fox is just basically there to have fun. He's not really interested in making a move on Stu McFadden here. That's certainly what it would appear. As Ryan Martin, you can see looming large in the distance, but I think he's actually dropped off a bit. He has. That was half a second that Ryan Martin lost in the last lap.
I know, yeah, that's interesting. Does he have a problem, or are the other two just beginning to dominate because they've avoided all the shenanigans going on behind them? As so often has happened, the leading two drivers or the leading driver just gets themselves out in front. They can focus on what's ahead rather than what's going on behind them.
I think that's exactly what it looks like here, John. They've done a great job of keeping themselves safe from harm there, but I'll be honest, I think Ryan Martin is not on course to catch up with those cars. Now, it is still way too early to say that definitively, but certainly the pace just doesn't seem to be on there. The other thing to remember with these GR86s here, John, is the tyres on these cars. If you work them very, very hard very early on, they overheat and they get slippery and slidey, and that could be what's happened there with Ryan. Or there could be a little bit of bump drafting going on here with Will Fox and Stu McFadden. Certainly the last laps, they are faster than everyone else on the circuit by about 0.6 of a second. So it wouldn't surprise me actually to see that they're able to get that pace going.
Yeah, it just slightly worries me that Will and Stu are having this little sort of dogfight at the top when they don't really need to. I mean, obviously, Will Fuchs is trying to get past Stu McFadden because he wants to win the race. But is there a danger that they could actually knock each other off the track the way they're going so close to each other? One little mistake from Stu or from Will, and it could let Ryan Martin in.
Do you think he's trying to fight him though? For me, it doesn't look like the body language of that car of Will Fuchs is trying to be aggressive. It doesn't look like he's trying to send it. It looks like he's just happy to sit on the tail of Stu McFadden and possibly. I mean, I'm not saying that he won't. I'm just saying at the moment it doesn't look like that. So I wonder if the two of them.
That's all.
Yeah, I just wonder if the two of them are maybe working together until the final couple of laps, and then all bets are off.
Well, who knows? But we've still got plenty of time left in this race. We're still just on the halfway point now, and Chris Pauly with Chris now, who's in 8th place, and he does seem to have dropped off a bit. And as you say, I'm not quite sure why that should happen. And you would have thought that he would be, really using all sinews to get back into contention here. With Chris Slater, who's 9th. Chris going well, looking for another top 10 finish. He's improved throughout the season. Michael Clough and Adam Barron having a bit of a battle for 4th and 5th. Barron winning it just at the moment. In fact, Clough has just slipped down to 7th, so he's gone off there. That's a bit of an issue for Clough. Where is he? Goodness knows where he's playing.
That was I swear that was the wildest.
How well he's doing, and suddenly it all goes hopelessly wrong.
That was honestly, that was giddy up cowboy on that one. He tried so hard to save that, and he did. I think he did minorly clip the outside here, so he gets run wide. So it was a curb hop from the car on the inside here. Now watch this, John. Goes over one way, then the other, tries to get it, goes onto the grass here, then has another moment and goes, now this is it here. I thought he's absolutely wiping another car out. No, saves it, and I think he just very lightly brushes another car there. In fact, no, he doesn't. Somehow avoids it.
I think it kind of sums up Michael Clough's season, doesn't it, really? All going so well at some stages. He does really well in some of the races, and then suddenly it all goes a little bit pear-shaped, shall we say. But it's certainly entertaining. You've been entertaining us royally this year, Mike. That is absolutely the case. Stu McFadden is leading, though, and Will Fuchs right on his tail. Ryan Martin just 1.5 seconds.
That was contact. I take it all back, John. There absolutely is fighting going on there. I wasn't convinced. I thought it was a pacifistic battle going on here, but it's now absolute mayhem as we got a 3-car battle then. This is for the championship leads. Oh my goodness me. Stu McFadden then with his network issues goes on to the inside, retains the lead. Will Fox still in second, but here comes Ryan Martin up the inside. This is up towards Coppice, that right-hander, as Martin sends it in late on to the brakes there. Very, very aggressive indeed as Fox tries to hold it round the outside. He's not going to get it, but he is going to get the run down here on Starkey Straight here. 10 minutes gone in this race, and John, suddenly things just kicked up to 11.
Well, I just have this feeling that Will was just so close to Stu McFadden, and it just needed a little bump, and suddenly Ryan Martin had his chance, but they're back as they were. Stu McFadden has the lead still. Will Fuchs back to second place, but Ryan Martin right up with him now, and it really is a 3-car battle going into this last half of the race.
They've cleared 4th place by about 10 seconds over 10 minutes. How is that even a thing?
Amazing.
I don't know. But we've got a 600-car battle here for 4th place. That's the only way we can describe it. You've got Adam Barron, Tom Stevens, Chris Pauly, Chris Slater, Chris Boland. You've got Dan Berris, Waters, Michael Clough in there, Peter Palastow. I mean, it's just basically who's who of who's taking part in this championship this season. Fantastic to see, and I'll guarantee, John, if you're any one of those drivers, they are having an absolute ball tonight.
Oh, I'm sure they're loving it. But no quarter given at all from any of these drivers. They just want to finish as high as they can in these last 2 races. But who is going to win? Stu McFadden was led from the word go. He had pole position, of course. He still has that lead, made a really good start, but it's been one heck of a battle just behind him with Will Fuchs and Ryan Martin, and Tom Stevens up there, but there's a 10 seconds gap now. It really is between these three cars, isn't it, to decide who's going to win this first race.
It certainly is, and the problem for Stu McFadden right now is that it's only a net gain of about 8 points in the championship over Ryan Martin just now. So it's a great thing to have a win, but it's nowhere near enough. He not only needs to win these races, but he needs Martin to have a little bit of a rough race, given that we've got about 40 points is going to be, I imagine, again, this is totally on the back of a napkin kind of mathematics here, but I think the gap going into race 2, if it stays like this, is going to be about 40 points here. But McFadden really starting to come under pressure here, John.
You talked about playing this a bit, whether they're going to play it a bit safe. I think that is exactly what Ryan Martin is doing now, because he knows that points difference is very, very narrow between first and third or whatever, and as long as he's only a couple of cars behind, he knows that this championship is going to be his, not only in this race but in the next race as well. So you can see he had a bit of a go, didn't he? He saw the battle going on, and I think he's just being fairly canny here. He's seeing that Will and Stu, or certainly Will, is trying to get past Stu, and he's just sensing, is there going to be another coming together? Am I going to have another chance?
As McFadden goes defensive one way, then the other on the brakes into Redgate. You saw on your right-hand side there, that was the championship points as we came into the race tonight. First race of 2. Remember, we've also got that reverse grid we've got to deal with very, very shortly, but we've got about a minute and 40 seconds left to go here. I think we're going to get one more lap on this, so this should be the penultimate lap that we're on right now. But Will Fuchs in second position, hunting down his prey of Stu McFadden. Stu, it has to be said, he's dealt with the pressure very, very well, and this is the wacky races from 4th position backwards. Adam Batten, Tom Stevens, Chris Pawley all duking it out here, but it has kind of eased off a little bit here as we go back, John, to our race leaders.
You were talking about wacky races. Who would you describe as Dick Dastardly then?
Cloughie. Yeah, come on. Who would be Muttley then?
And Linda Noble is definitely Penelope Pitstop. Great stuff. And she won't mind me saying that. Okay, so here we are. It's going to be very, very tight going into this last lap. Are we on the last lap? The checker flag is down. No, it isn't. Sorry, this is the last lap now. So if Will Fuchs is going to make a challenge, it's going to be somewhere in this next minute or so.
John, you've got no idea how many times I've done that as Ryan Martin runs a little bit wide there. I've done that so many times, and like not actually even realised while I'm calling the finish off the race as well. That's it's quite fun when that happens.
Well, I just saw him waving his flag.
I know, waving the flag. You just presume
frantically waving his flag. I thought it must be it.
So this is the battle then for 5th, 6th and 7th position. Paulie sneaks up on the inside, but that means that Boland is going to have... No, he's not going to have the inside line for the next corner round. So they are coming through to McIntyre's just now. This is the run-up to Coppice now. So this is the last chance saloon here for Will Fuchs. If he's got anything in the bag, it has to come out now. Run down Circuit Straight. Stu McFadden in the lead. He's got a lap car that they're not going to have time to come across. Here comes Fuchs. So what is he going to do? It's not going to be a move. Stu McFadden's going to get through the final chicane, and I would think that is going to be it. Fuchs gets a poor exit off the corner, and it's a race win for Stu McFadden. Some important championship points, and Will Fuchs in second, Ryan Martin in third, but we've got a dogfight going on further behind. 3 cars going into the chicane is never going to work out. Somehow they all sorted themselves out here. What a race that's been for Tom Stevens, Chris Boland and Chris Pawley. Take a bow. That was amazing racecraft. If you want to see what the BFBS Afvrc is all about, then all you need to do is watch that entire race from 4th to 10th place.
Yeah, fantastic racing, and again, really well disciplined drives as well from all of those drivers. They were so tight, so close with each other, but it was really, really safe stuff. So well done to all of them. So Adam Barron gets a 4th, and Tom Stevens gets 5th place, Chris Boland 6th, and Chris Pawley 7th, which he'll be disappointed with, David, on that one, won't he?
I think he will. In the grand scheme of things, though, I think Paulie has kind of benefited from the chaos and carnage that's happened to the drivers throughout the season. So if that is his bowing out of the championship contention, third place is not a bad place to be, if I'm honest there, John.
I don't think he'll agree with you, but I think you're pretty accurate there, David, in your assessment. It's such a tight championship as well. The driving has been so tough, but so fair. But well done to Stu McFadden. That is a great win for him. But Ryan Martin, biding his time there, got that third place. You do the rundown for us.
Well, here we go then. So it's Stu McFadden taking the win from Will Fox in second place there. Ryan Martin in third with Adam Bam in fourth position. Tom Stevens finishes in fifth position. Sixth place is the way of Chris Boland. Chris Pawley in seventh. Dan Berris in eighth. Chris Slater in ninth. Michael Clough in 10th position. Adam Waters in 11th. Luke Arpino in 12th. Peter Plastow in 13th, Stu Etic in 14th, and John Finch rounding out the top 15. 16th position was Ryan Abbott, Ben Weston in 17th, Lyndon Noble in 18th, Steve Ward finishes in P19, 20th position for Dan Hardwick, Barry Abbott in 21st, Jack Ajewski finishing a lap down as well in 22nd, Colin Scott and Glenn Griffin in 23rd and 24th, and then at the back of the grid, unfortunately, going out on lap 1, James King and 25th position. So there we go. That is that. Now we've got a reverse grid to work out what the hell is going to go on here. So let's spin the wheel for the final time this season and see what a reverse grid we get. And it's a top 10 reverse grid, ladies and gentlemen. Cloughie takes pole for the final race of the season. Michael Clough on pole position. Do we think he's got it in the can to do something with that?
Well, why not? That's what I would say. He's certainly entertained us this year, and he's had moments when he's driven extremely well. So there is no reason at all why Michael Clough can't do well in this race. And a pole position, as we've just seen, is not a bad starting point, is it?
It really isn't. So fingers crossed he's able to make something with that opportunity. Now, I did see Stu McFadden very briefly in the waiting room to have a chat with us, and now he's disappeared again. So I wonder if he's decided to go and take a break instead. We'll give him a second to see if any of the drivers are coming to have a chat with us. But let's take a second then to reflect on that race, John. Obviously, huge championship implications, but outside of that battle between 4th to 10th, I mean, that was... we didn't bother talking about it all the time because there was just so much going on. I'll come back to that because, John, you've got a couple of drivers wanting to have a chat with you.
Yeah, we've got Stu and Ryan waiting to talk to us. Let's bring in Ryan Martin first. Ryan, good evening to you. That was a very interesting race there. Now, you had briefly challenged there for the lead when you saw the shenanigans going up just ahead of you. With Will and with Stu, but then you dropped off. Was that a deliberate policy just to drop off, or you were just allowing them maybe to make a bit of a fight of it at the top two? Because obviously the points are really important today.
Definitely. The points are really important, but I wish I could say that it was all part of the plan, but they two guys were just too quick. I was trying, I was pushing, but I think they might have been doing a little bit of bump drafting or something like that, because I could not catch them whatsoever. I was matching their times, or maybe within a couple of tenths, but yeah, they were flying at the front. But yeah, it was good fun trying to catch them, just didn't have the pace today.
It was a good race. I mean, you did briefly get that second place from Will, but he got it back very, very quickly and was determined not to give it up. So all set then. It's a top 10 spin round, which means you're going to be starting in seventh place on the grid. So a bit of work to do for this second race. But I assume that you know that what you need to do is basically to finish. And if you're not too far behind Stu McFadden, then you know the title's going to be yours. But it's very, very exciting.
It is. Before this evening, I actually checked what's required, and I think if I'd finished both races in P8, I might, depending on other results, I might be able to get the championship from that. I'm not going to leave it to chance. I'm not just going to sit in P8 and chill out. I'm going to try and get forward and try and have a bit of race. But as long as it's all clean, it's all good, and get to the end. I emphasise should be able to be pretty happy after the race. Hopefully.
Okay, Ryan. Thanks for joining us. We wish you well in the second race. Let's bring Stu McFadden in now as well for a quick chat. Stu, good evening to you. That was quite a battle there. You had the pole position at the top, and held on to it. But that was a bit of a battle there with Will midway through that first race.
Yeah, it was. He put me under lots and lots of pressure. Really good, to be fair. I was kind of trying to focus on, because the draft is so strong around here, I was trying to really focus on getting a good exit out of all the corners, which is maybe why you've seen him catch up a wee bit on the entry. So obviously he can't overtake me in the middle of a corner, well hopefully not, but his best opportunity is at the end of the straights. So yeah, that was sort of the game plan from the start that I knew. We got a really good start. Don't know how it's the best start I've had all season and what a time to do it, but yeah, it was a really, really good race. Respect to Will for coming and saying sorry after a little love tap in the old hairpin, which I didn't love. Put it that way.
Well, it could have made life very interesting, obviously, if you hadn't been able to hold your position, but you did. You did extremely well there. But you've got to start the second race in 10th place, so a little bit of work to do there.
Yeah, they're not making it easy for me at all, but yeah, I'll have my head down. Don't worry.
Okay, Stu. Good to talk to you. Thank you very much for your time to the halfway stage. And let's bring Chris Pawley in as well. Chris, thanks for joining us. And maybe that race didn't go quite the way you wanted. The 7th place, not ideal for you, given where you are in the championship. But the reverse spin puts you 3rd on the grid. So there's still a chance, still opportunity there for you to snatch something.
Yeah, that was a tough race. I think I sort of threw it away, to be honest. I think I was sitting in 3rd and I had Ryan behind me. I struggled a bit to be consistent, and then I don't know when I think I kind of locked the rears as I had a downshift, and next thing I know that this championship is so close in terms of when it comes to the races. I had about 8 cars then behind me, so I got caught in a great battle. Had a great battle with the likes of Chris Boland, Chris Slater, and Tom Stevens.
Well,
by that point it was hard to catch up.
Yeah,
and it was a great battle.
That's what we've been saying all night, Chris. I mean, there's battles going on all over the racetrack, and that makes it very exciting. Actually, quite confusing for us to watch as commentators. But keep up the great work, and who knows, success might still come your way in the second race. Good luck to all of you tonight. Thanks for joining us, Chris. So. Just getting some good comments there from the racetrack itself there, David. And I think it just goes to show, doesn't it, how competitive these guys are, no matter where they are on the grid.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, it sounds like they really, really loved that first race tonight, and we've got more to come. If race 1 was tough, and that's when they had qualifying, so they had their ideal position there, John, race 2 is going to be a very, very different affair, not only because you've got Stu starting behind Ryan for the second race here. It's just going to be absolutely manic, so it could be all over in one corner. But, I think they're going to be made to work for the pennies tonight here.
They are indeed. We're going to take a break now, aren't we? We're back in about 5 minutes.
Yep, we'll take a very short break. When we come back, we'll have live coverage of the second and final race at the BFBS AFVRC. Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen. We are here at Donington, the national layout for the final race, the final rounds of the BFBS Afvrc Season 3. David Christate, John Knighton here with you still, and this is the updated championship standings, and I hate to say it, it looks exactly the same as we left it. In fact, I think it's actually a little bit worse for Stu McFadden after that round with the drop scores. But let's head over to the grid for our second race of the evening, and it's Michael Clough with Chris Slater in second, Dan Berris and Chris Pawley on row 2, Chris Boland and Tom Stevens on row 3, Adam Barron and Ryan Martin on row 4, Will Fox and Stu McFadden on row 5, Adam Waters and Luke Arpino on row 6, Peter Plastow and Stu Etic on row 7, John Finch and Ryan Abbott's on row 8, Ben Weston and Lyndon Noble on row 9, Steve Ward and Dan Hardwick on row 10, Barry Abbott and Jackie Dusky on row 11, Colin Scott and Glenn Griffin at the back of the grid on row number 12. Let's go racing for the final time this season. The lights are on. We are ready to go. Who is going to be BFBS Afvrc Season 3 champion? Let's get underway. And Cluffy gets a great start, but so does Dan Berris. Have a look at Chris Pawley. He fancies getting his way up there as well. Around into Redgate for the first time of asking, and all eyes are on your championship contenders as Stu McFadden and Ryan Martin. McFadden already gets a jump then, crucially, already up into P8 just now as they tear down through Hollywood, through the Craner cars and into the old hairpin for the first time of asking here, John.
Yeah, really good start from Tuffy. Darren Berris did very well. Chris Pawley in third place, and Chris Slater, he's dropped a place down to fourth, and Chris Boland is in fifth. Stu McFadden, though, is making hay while the sun shines because he's now up to seventh. So he's built up a bit of a lead on Ryan Martin, who's still in 10th place, which of course is where he started. So where is this going to go? It's so exciting. Look at Stu McFadden again, now up to down to fifth place. Great work from Stu McFadden as well. Puffy still has the lead. Darren Berris is second with Chris Pawley third, and Chris Slater dropping down the field a little bit there.
McFadden's gone into the barrier at the chicane, and that is it. Huge contact for McFadden, and that is Season 3 championship hopes over, done and dusted. As cool and as horrible as you like. He gets tagged to add misery to mayhem. That car is wrecked. Good night, Vienna, John.
Oh dear, what a shame. That was a terrible shame for Stu McFadden. He is hobbling along and struggling his way down, and it's what a terrible end for him. Car is out and retired. Well, I'd just like to see what happened there, because I was busy nattering away and suddenly all hell broke loose there. Maybe we can look at that on replay in a moment, but you've got to just feel for Stu McFadden, because he's made such a fight of it. So basically now he's kind of handed the championship on a plate to Ryan Martin, unless Chris Pawley, who's in third place, can somehow work his way, work some magic.
What a finish to the end of the season. Now, just looking at the championship stands, let's have a look at that in a second. So he's on the brakes there. He's super late. I think he's way too late on the brakes. Comes in hot into the chicane. The gap's never there. He launches the car over the curb, and I think he's... Oh no, it's contact! It's the 131 of Will Fox that sends him into the barriers. Oh, and the thing is, to be fair to Will Fox, I don't think it's deliberate. There's no intention made there. The contact is done. He spins out trying to rejoin into the track and gets absolutely clobbered. I've got a horrible feeling. Was that Lyndon Noble that went straight into the back of him there?
Yeah, and then that was it. That really was it, because he was trying desperately to right the car, get himself back in, but then it just died on him, didn't it? Dear, you've got to feel for Stu McFadden there, because he might have been a bit late on the braking going into the bend, but he was hit and he was rammed a couple of times there, and that basically finished him off. So what a desperately sad end for him. But Chris Pawley is absolutely flying. He's up to second place now, David, just behind Michael Clough. just over half a second behind him, and Chris Pauly is really making a go for it.
I'll tell you what, do you know what? You're absolutely right here. There is still a thin beacon of light for Chris Pauly right now, because I think as it stands, looking at the points there, he is 98 points behind your championship leader. So that is still doable, given that it's 100 points for a race win, and possibly one more if you get the fastest lap as well. So let's not discount that at all. It's still far too close to call, given what we saw with Stu McFadden there. Anything can and likely will happen there. But Cloughy in the lead of this race, he's getting chased down. I tell you what, Cloughy is not a man to give up a position willingly, but I think he might have this crowbarred off him by Chris Pauly.
I think he might do. And I suppose what Chris Pauly is hoping for, as you say, is that Ryan Martin doesn't actually finish the race. Ryan is in 8th place, so at the moment he's probably just got enough points to sneak that championship. And let's face it, he has led it really from the word go, hasn't he? He's had a fantastic season as Ryan Martin, and it would be, really grabbing defeat basically from the jaws of victory if he were to lose. But Chris Pauly is making a real fight of it. There we are. That's how things look at the moment. It's so close. It really is so close. So let's just see what happens, because Ryan Martin has now moved up to 7th. He's just jumped Adam Barron. So Ryan, I think, realises that it's not all over at all. So he's got, and Adam Barron has actually got that place back again. Oh, Ryan off track. He's off the track. Yeah, he's come back on.
He was off at the chicane there, John, and had a bit of a moment rejoining. And of course, he's in a luxurious position where he can just kind of afford to have these little moments left, right, and centre. But this will start to get a little bit close for him now. He'll be wanting to push a little bit harder if possible.
I don't necessarily agree he can afford to have any moments, because he's surrounded by other cars, and a little moment can result in something catastrophic, as we just saw with Stu McFadden.
That's very, very true, actually. I'm just realising. So he needs to finish inside the top 24, basically, to still score points here. Anything lower than that, and that would, unbelievably, if Pauly can get the win here, that would hand things over on a silver platter, because cruelly you only get 96 points for a second place here.
Well, Chris is doing everything he possibly can. That is, as you see how the championship stands at the moment. Ryan Martin, Chris Pauly, Stu McFadden, and Stu not going to win any more points today after the disaster which befell him at the beginning of this race. Michael Clough, though, still very much holding his own, although it's got just 0.2 of a second now, but Chris Pauly still aiming to get that lead. Darren Berris doing really well in 3rd place. Will Fuchs is up to 4th. Chris Boland and Tom Stevens have just swapped places as well between 5th and 6th. Adam Barron in 7th. Ryan Martin is holding his own in 8th, but Adam Waters just behind him as well, under a second behind him.
What a race. I mean, we knew that it was going to be a dramatic result for this race, but I didn't expect that. I really didn't expect that whatsoever. It looks like the pressure from Chris Pauly just starting to ease off a little bit here. And can Cloughy do the unthinkable? We spoke about this on the lead up to this second race just before we did our interviews here, and we said about Michael Clough. He's got the conviction. He's got the ability to put himself in this position. I tell you what, this is going to be his best chance right now.
It is. I think one of his best performances was last week when he got a 5th place. So he's obviously hoping to improve on that. And it wouldn't be a bad way to finish the season, would it? To end the last race with the win. Darren Berris and Chris Pauly just briefly swapping places, but Pauly's got it back from Berris again. Darren Berris making a really good fist of it as well, looking for a podium as well to finish the season. It's just settled down a little bit, as you say, but where is Ryan Martin? Still in 8th place. He knows that if he holds that position, the championship is his. But as he said in an interview there, he's not taking anything for granted. And also, he's well aware that there are cars with an equal amount of power. He's challenging at the moment for that place with Chris Boland. And has he made it through? No, he hasn't. Ryan Martin's still up there. Yes, he has. He's made it through past Adam Barron. So he's up to 7th place now. So another place gained, more points on the board for him.
Well, I'll tell you what battle we've got going on for second position here is Chris Pawley and Dan Berris fighting it out here. You've also got Will Fox in the fight here as well. Pawley did lose out that second position to Dan Berris, but a little bit of a gap opening up here. Well, not really any of a gap, actually. Look at it. There's still nose to tail as the three of them come in, and Fox absolutely sends it from last week into Redgate. That's a bold move and gets it done. I tell you what, he's got the run as well on Chris Pawley here with just 5 and a bit minutes left to go here. They're going to go side by side down through the crater curves here. That's a bold, brave move, and I think Pawley's just very defensive though, because tries to go on the inside. No way did that just happen, John. That is an outrageous move from Will Fox there.
Well, brilliant performance from him. Will again showing, how clever he is, how well he's doing so far in this series, and that was a second place already tonight. 2 first places last week. He has finished this season so strongly, and that was a great bit of driving there to unseat Chris Pawley from that second place. And just a few moments ago, Chris Pawley and Darren Berris were vying for that second place, but the one person who's really benefiting from this is Michael Clough, because he's now nearly 2 seconds clear of the man in second place.
Awesome stuff then. Just a couple of minutes left to go here. This is the battle then between 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th position. You've got Tom Stevens, Chris Boland, Ryan Martin and Adam Barron. And of course Ryan Martin will be perfectly happy to just sit in the middle of all of this, because as long as he's in the top 20, he has done everything that he needs to get all of the points. Now, what I would be wanting to do is not be around any other cars that are anywhere near me on the track. However, Ryan Martin is a racer, and he is going to keep pushing here as Chris Boland is trying to push onto Tom Stevens coming down through the craner curves on the brakes into the old hairpin, and can't quite make that happen there. But just looking there as that's a little bit wide there. Ryan Martin just round the outside.
Nervous times. He's stuck in the middle of this group. He doesn't really want to be there with them vying for position, and I would say that Ryan would be very happy just to sort of get out of that situation at the moment, if he possibly can. But as you say, he's a racer, he's a driver. He's up to 6th now, and maybe he's thinking, well, the best way to get out of here is to get past them.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And the thing is I mean, I'm just stunned at how awesome this race too has been. In fact, I would say this has quite easily been one of the most entertaining races that we've had this season, and that's not an easy thing to say here, John, because we've had some absolute crackers this season, but in terms of raw racecraft, in terms of excitement, in terms of drama, we've had it all here tonight at Donington.
We have, and I think that's largely because the drivers obviously are now so used to these GR86s, or in the case of Will Fox 87s, that it's they've got so used to these cars, and they're driving with such expertise that it's really impressive to watch from all of them.
Well, here we go. Just watching here is Ryan Martin trying to go around the outside. You say that he's not really wanting to be in the middle of all this, but he loves it. Look at him, he's just firing it up the inside there as Tom Stevens then left to fight with Adam Barron. This is the run with Opus, and 2.5 minutes left to go here. Yeah, Ryan Martin, sorry, on you go.
He's just got to 5th. Yeah, but I'm kind of nervous because I'm thinking it could all just go hopelessly wrong, couldn't it?
It really could, but it's not gone wrong for these two. It's absolutely launching it into the lead. Will Fox says thank you very much, and Chris Pawley wants to have a piece of this as well, having an eye on Michael Clough for second position here. It was also lovely while it lasted, but Cloughy has been relegated down to 3rd position, and it might go even worse as Dan Berris tries to get in on the mix here as Pawley sends it up the inside. Chris Pawley up into P2 then. Chris Boland tried to take 7th position back from Tom Stevens, but it looks like Ryan Martin firmly in no man's land there. He'll be happy in 5th position. Just a minute and a half to go, and Cloughy absolutely bins it. Grabs, somehow Cloughy has managed to grab defeat from the jaws of victory.
You've done it again.
Gets it in there, and well, I don't know what to say about that. It's an easy mistake to make. I've made that one many times, and yeah.
Oh dear. you just feel for him. You really do. He's led the race. He's driven superbly well. Oh, and it's just all gone pear-shaped for him. And so Will Fuchs, great driving from him again. We've really been marvelling at the way he's done. He's done so well again tonight, and well, is he going to win his 3rd race out of 4? Chris Pauly 2nd place, and look at Ryan Martin up to 4th now. Terrific performance from Ryan. Just worked his way through the field. Frantic waving of the flag there from the marshal on the start-finish line, and well, what do you say, Darren Berris? It looks like he's going to get a podium, which is brilliant from him.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and what a great race this has been. I mean, enjoyment and thrills from the absolute get-go here, but Will Fox making hay while the sun shines. This is going to be the final lap that they're on just now. What a brilliant performance. Again, Chris Pauly in 2nd place. He's done everything, almost everything that he could have been expected to, but it's all been about Ryan Martin in that 4th position. Your season champion is going to be crowned as soon as he comes over the line. The final time, though, cruelly denied for Stu McFadden, but that is the way that the cookie crumbles. But for the final time in the BFBS Afvrc Season 3, it's down the back straight, down Starkeys for Will Fox then to come into the final chicane, launches it over the curb there, and your final winner of the season, Will Fox, comes across the line to take the win. Chris Pauly is going to finish in 2nd place, and I believe going to finish in 2nd place in the championship as well. Dan Berris is in P3, Ryan Martin in P4, Adam Barn in P5, Tom Stevens in P6, and Chris Boland in P7. But it is all about this man right here, your 2023 BFBS Afvrc Season 3 champion, Ryan Martin. He was held right into the last there, John, but an absolutely deserving champion.
Oh, totally. Congratulations to Ryan. He missed, obviously, last week. He could actually have sealed the title, I think, last week, but obviously work commitments meant that he couldn't be racing, and he saved the best till last and driven a really sensible race. Wasn't pushing when he didn't need to, although he was involved in a bit of a scrap there in that race to just work his way up the field to make sure that things were all in order. But great driving from Ryan Martin. He's really showed himself this season to be the outstanding driver, and congratulations to him. There is confirmation then of his title. 1,387 points. Chris Pauly 2nd place. He got a feel for Stu McFadden because he was right up there, and then the situation that befell him in that 2nd race that meant he had to retire. Really bad luck on him, hard luck on him. But the other 2 drivers there, Ryan Martin and Chris Pauly, have made the most of it.
They absolutely have. What a fantastic season that we've been treated to. But here's your final results for round 10 then. And Will Fox takes the win from Chris Pauly. Dan Berris in 3rd position as Ryan Martin in 4th. Adam Barn in 5th. Tom Stevens in 6th position. Chris Boland in 7th. Adam Waters in 8th. Peter Plasto in 9th. Michael Clough in 10th position, John Finch in 11th, Stu Etic in 12th position, Chris Slater in 13th, Ryan Abbott in 14th, Barry Abbott in 15th, with Ben Weston in 16th, P17 for Linda Noble, Steve Ward is in P18, and then it is going to be Colin Scott in 19th, Jack Ajewski in 20th position, Glenn Griffin in 21st, Luke Arpino in 22nd, Dan Hardwick and Stu McFadden finishing multiple laps down. John, so much to talk about. Firstly, that incident with Stu taking him out of contention, completely unintentional. But I guess we'll be able to find out from the man himself, from Will, as to what happened there.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll come on and tell us. I think it was certainly unintentional, but it was just that particular part of the track, a bit crowded, and accidents like that can happen all the time. But it's just, you just feel really sorry for Stu McFadden, because it did deny him all the donuts now happening on the course there, which I'm sure the the people who run Darlington Park will be really thrilled about. Not, but it's such a shame that it finished like that. And we've got some people waiting to be interviewed, actually. Shall we go to Dan Hardwick first? Because Dan, we were talking about you earlier on, and you must be absolutely thrilled with the way this season has gone from an organisational point of view, if not from a driving point of view personally. Hello, Dan, can you hear me? Well, it says he's there.
Hi, John, you're right. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I muted myself in the chat, sorry. So from an organisation point of view, absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it's been a great season. To get, to still have 25 cars on the grid at the last race is amazing. And close racing all the way to the end. It's been brilliant. Not for me, of course. I've not been not driven too great this season. I think I liken it to the. Yeah.
An unintentional donut.
I think I liken it to when you get a really good England cricket player, and then you put them as captain, and they do really terrible. I think that's me. Not that I'm captain, but just because I've got other things on my mind with the season, so I've just not been able to practice as much as I could. So.
Well, I don't think we won't definitely call that an excuse, Dan. But the organisation has been fantastic this year. I think you deserve huge congratulations from everybody for what you've done. I'm just thinking as well, these cars, these Toyota GR86 has made the racing so exciting this year. I know David will agree with me on that. It's been absolutely brilliant watching these cars in these races, because it's so unpredictable, isn't it? And the cars are so similar. Obviously, I know that the drivers can do their own setups, but it's been really, really great racing this year.
It has, absolutely. So close racing at the front, and even in the middle pack, we've had some great battles down the middle. Listen to it on the in-race chatter. It's been interesting. And watching the streams back that you guys have done, it's been awesome. I think we'll have to think about what we do next season. But these cars have definitely evolved throughout the season. We started off and they're a right handful. They still can catch you out, but we've kind of tamed them a little bit. Throughout the season with various setups and things, and I think iRacing have done a little bit of that themselves as well, identifying certain characteristics that they want to iron out. But yeah, it's been fantastic. Obviously we've been developing some things in the background with Splunk, etc. That has taken. It's definitely gone a lot further than we thought it would do. We're going down to their headquarters in London actually next month to kind of demonstrate how we're going to do that on the track cars as well. So that's an interesting visit we're going to do next month. In fact, we're going to have a race. We're going to have a race down there, a 6-hour race in the building.
Oh right, okay. Sounds fun.
Yeah.
They're closing the streets for us, are they?
So their headquarters is actually right next to Paddington Station. We're going to take our on the road simulator rigs down there and have a race on iRacing for 6 hours. We're trying to get 6 drivers per team, 4 teams, so it should be an interesting day.
That'll be fantastic. Yeah, great stuff. Well, Dan, lovely to talk to you. Thank you very much for coming on, and say congratulations on a great season and brilliantly organised. And it's just great to see the way this is developing over the last 3 years, really, and looking as good as it does and attracting more people. So Dan Hardwick there. Great stuff from you. Let's bring Chris Pawley in, because Chris, you made a right fist of it there. A terrific final race. You knew you had to go for it, didn't you? And that's exactly what you did.
Yeah, exactly. I think I saw early on that Stu had disconnected. I don't know what happened, whether he got involved in some contact, and then I think I was absolutely good, but I spent the rest of the race doing mental math in my head trying to work out where I finished, because I think I have the drop scores and he doesn't. So I knew I needed to get as many points as I could, and I had a chance at the win, and then to get second, I think is pretty good. I don't know how the championships panned out. I don't know if you guys have got the scores, but
We will reveal those very, very shortly, but it's very, very close indeed. But it was a terrific race. You did it extremely sensibly in the end. It would have been very easy, I suppose, to throw caution to the wind, but the fact that you didn't has probably worked to your advantage, shall we say?
It was pretty sense, and I'll give full credit to Darren Berris as well. I mean this in the best way, but of all the people I didn't want behind me at that time was Darren Berris, because he fights so well, and he did. He continued to fight, but it just managed to. Just at the end, it all calmed down and managed to pull a gap. Obviously, Will Folks had a fantastic race to get a win. I don't know where he started, but really pleased with second. We'll see how it pans out, but like you said, I imagine it's pretty close for second and third.
It is. I mean, Will has had a terrific end to the season, really, because he got a second place in the first race tonight, and then 2 first places last week. So he's proved to be one of the strongest drivers at the end of this championship, and maybe he's going to be a real force to be reckoned with next year. Chris, great to talk to you. Thank you very much. We'll be revealing very shortly, I think, won't we, David, who the top places in the championship. But are we going to now announce who the winner is?
Yeah, we certainly are, and I'm going to have to steal the honours on this one. Let's bring in your 2023 AFVRC Season 3 champion, and it's a very, very good evening to a happy, hopefully, young man, Ryan Martin. Hello!
Oh, geez, I really actually can't believe that it's got to this point. I did not actually expect to win the championship at the very start, but I'm buzzing that I have. Cannot believe it. Really excited for the prizes, and I just want to take time to thank everybody that's been involved, the organisation of it. This obviously started a while ago for me, iRacing, and it was only made really possible by the RAFE Motorsports team. They were able to sort of provide me a PC that I was able to move across to iRacing from Gran Turismo Sport, and then it's just went from then until now. So a big shout out to them, and especially Darren Berris. He was pretty much on call trying to help me with the PC to get it set up and all that sort of stuff. So it's a pretty cool way to end the season, to be fair. Pretty happy with that.
And just thinking about going into that final race of the season, I mean, the nerves must have been jangling a bit. Stu was almost chipping away at your lead there. Thankfully, the way the drop scores worked, they ended up further behind after that first race there. But when you saw that name going further and further down the list, was at what point did it start to sink in that you were feeling quite good about that second race?
Well, as soon as I seen that Stu had disconnected, I actually thought at the time, I wonder who that was. And then as soon as I seen it come up on the screen that Stu had disconnected, I couldn't believe it. He just got mixed up at the chicane, being in the wrong spot at the wrong time, and unfortunately it all went wrong for him. But he actually sent me a message before the race, a nice message. So he, even though we were fighting for the championship, he still took the time to send a message and wish me well. So he's a top boy, Stu, and it's just unfortunate that happened. I think it was like the second lap of the race. It's really unfortunate, but yeah, I mean, it's terrible to say, but I can't stop thinking about the fact that I've won it and not the fact that Stu unfortunately crashed. But it's just, it was a great season, and I'm glad that Stu and Will actually joined, because before that it seemed like I was pretty much the fastest on the grid wherever we were, and the challenge that they've brought on, I did not expect it. I did not expect 2 guys to join after the first week and be that quick. So it's actually probably a good thing that they weren't there really the first week. Otherwise, I think Will would have taken this championship, because he's got some unbelievable pace. It's just he just wasn't as consistent as some people. But yeah, it was great that they joined. It was a good addition to the championship, I think.
Well, Ryan, it's only fair that I hand over to John Knighton to finish off this interview. He's been here all through the season. So, John, over to yourself.
Okay, thanks very much indeed, David. And Ryan, obviously, huge congratulations to you. I know you'll be also delighted that Chris Pauly has got the second place in the championship. Obviously, maybe not in the circumstances that he would have wanted. But they've all pushed you in a way that maybe we weren't expecting. And of course, you weren't there with us for the races last week, and I assume that's because work got in the way. And that, I suppose, for me is the most important thing here, that you guys week in, week out have been competing when you've got jobs to do, you've got hard work, and life is not easy at the moment. We know how busy it is for the RAF and for the Royal Navy, and indeed for the Army as well. So to compete so consistently, given the circumstances surrounding you, I think it's like hats off to everyone, isn't it, really, Ryan?
Well, it's a great job that everybody's been able to turn up pretty much every week. Obviously, we had the drop weeks, which some people took advantage of. It wasn't through choice that I wasn't able to race last week, so I would have been there if I could have been. But yeah, the fact that this grid has pretty much been full every week, and nobody's sort of realised that they're not going to win it, so they've not come back. As we said last week, there's people racing throughout the grid. People are wanting as many points as they can. And that's led to a lot of people being on the stream for you guys to commentate on, because it's very easy. A lot of championships, as soon as people realise that they might be near the back of the grid 99% of the time, numbers start to dwindle, and it's difficult for you guys to then find action to actually commentate on. But thankfully on this championship, people have been here every week, and they've been putting time and effort in, and the streams have shown that the racing that we've had is great. It just hopefully will continue on to next season and get even better. But yeah, shout out to Paulie actually, because it turns out that he actually designed the livery that's on our cars. So I actually seen his livery on the Discord channel, and I said to him, "Oh, can I run that livery as well?" So technically we were in the same team. So the fact that we've got P1 and P2, there's that livery is obviously OP, and it gave us an extra 5 miles an hour, obviously.
And more virtual champagne is being drunk as we speak.
Totally, yeah.
But Ryan, and just a final thought on these cars as well, because obviously last year we had the Porsches, we had basically the 2 championships, didn't we? But these JR86s have been fantastic, haven't they, this year? It's been brilliant racing.
They have been. I think we've spoken about it a couple of times. They're not easy to drive, but they're easier to drive close to other cars. They're quite stable unless you push it a little bit too much. And I think the racing that we've had has shown that you can race really close with them. You can have some contacts. Unfortunately, heavy contacts lead to people crashing out. But you've seen pretty much every week, because I've watched all the streams back, you guys are saying there's some crazy racing that's close. It's aggressive. You can be aggressive with these cars. So it's a great car that iRacing have added. It's not a car that I would have chosen to drive before this championship was announced, but since the championship was announced and this car was chosen, I've driven it quite a lot. I love the car, but who knows, I might never drive it again now the championship's finished. I'll go back to my GT3s and stuff like that. But yeah, the car has been perfect for this championship because of the ability to race really close, race clean, and 90% of the time it not end up in chaos like the GT3s, or especially the Porsche 992. A little tap on the rear end or a little lock up of the tyres and it's game over for whoever's driving. So these were a lot more forgiving, thankfully, and you've seen that with more people finishing races, not as many contacts, not as many issues. So yeah, it's been a really, really enjoyable, fun, but at the same time stressful 10 weeks. Or 9 weeks for me, because I missed last week. But yeah, everybody's saying in the Discord that they've loved it. They've loved the car. They've loved the championship. And again, yeah, just a massive shout out to the committee and the guys that have organised it, and the guys that are making the practice sessions and all that sort of stuff. They've done a great job this season.
Yeah, they certainly have. Well, Ryan, many congratulations to you. You are the champion for 2023, and so you deserve all our congratulations on a very, very successful Armed Forces Virtual Race Championship for this year. And, well, all I can say is congratulations, and we'll look forward to seeing you all again in 2024 when we're back for another championship for next year. And who knows, it could be, if it's half as exciting as we've had this year, then I know, David, that you and I will be pretty delighted.
Yeah, for sure. So a huge thank you to Ryan Martin as we say goodbye to him for the season. But John, listen, yeah, you're absolutely spot on there. What a season it's been. I'm feeling so incredibly privileged to have been part of that this year. It's been great to see all these names coming back again, some brand new ones coming in, causing a ruffle of the feathers there. It's been a wonderful, wonderful season. The drivers can all hold their heads up very, very high, John. And what an honour it has been to be part of this championship.
I will definitely second that, David.
Excellent stuff. Well, listen, what we've got to say, John, is a huge thank you to you for joining us all through the season. Just, finishing off. What a 10 weeks that's been.
Well, I can't believe how quickly it's gone, to be honest. It really has. I missed a couple. Obviously, we were doing some live sport or our own on BFBS on the couple of Tuesday nights. But yeah, it's been brilliant. I've loved being here every Tuesday, and I'm hoping that we can do exactly the same thing again next year.
Well, fingers crossed. A huge thank you to all of the admin team involved in the championship. A huge thank you to Sim Sports Solutions, our broadcast partner, and most specifically Mike Yao, who's been here week in, week out, behind the cameras, keeping us company and keeping us amused all through the season. A huge thank you to our commercial partners as well, and they are, of course, BFBS, Splunk, racecarradios.co.uk, as well to RAF eMotorsports, the Army eMotorsports, Royal Navy eSports, and more importantly, I guess, you at home as well for watching us and keeping us thrilled with all your entertaining comments and chat and the mild banter between the drivers as well. But that is it from us for Season 3. We hope you've enjoyed everything here that's been on. The drivers haven't left anything on the table this season. On behalf of myself, David Christie, and John Knighton, have a wonderful night, and we will see you next season.